The maintenance bay smelled like ozone, hydraulic oil, and bad decisions. Somewhere between the flickering neon panels and the half-assembled plasma cannon, a human man knelt on one knee, face shadowed under. The dim blue lights staring up at an alien woman with skin, the color of a ripe sunset and a tone that could melt. Titanium, her name was Harry. Don't ask why an orange-skinned alien mechanic had a name like that. The last human who did ended up with a wrench thrown hard enough to invent new physics. The man was Darren, a field engineer from Earth, also known as the idiot who keeps volunteering to fix Harry's ship, even though she keeps threatening to vaporize him. And right now, Harry was sitting cross-legged on a crate, her silver hair cascading over her bare shoulders, her eyes glowing faintly with amusement. Darren was working under her console, half inside the panel and half distracted by the way her voice purred when she teased him. "Human," she said, her tone drawn out and wickedly amused. "You're moving slow again." "I'm calibrating!" Darren shot back, his voice echoing inside the access compartment. "If I go any faster, I'll cross the circuits and your ship's core will blow." She said, leaning down slightly, her grin sharp enough to qualify as a weapon. "Then blow something at least." "You're making me bored." He hit his head on the console, hard. "Ouch." "Harry, what is wrong with you?" "Many things, but right now, mostly boredom." Her voice had that deep, lilting accent of her species, half musical, half threat. She stretched, back arching, the motion languid and dangerous. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "when you said you'd get inside my systems, I thought you meant something else." Darren's hand froze mid-wire twist. "Harry, stop." "Stop what?" she said innocently, which was a lie so big it could be seen from orbit. He backed out from under the panel, his dark exosuit flexing with servo hum as he stood. She was still perched there, one leg dangling, watching him like a scientist watching an experiment about to explode. "You enjoy tormenting me, don't you?" he said. "Of course," she replied sweetly. "Humans make the best noises when flustered," he sighed. "You have no idea how weird that sounds." "On my planet," she said, "it's a compliment. It means your face is very expressive." Darren rubbed his forehead. "Yeah, well, my face isn't what you should be worrying about. It's the plasma regulator that's about to fry itself." "Then do it faster, human," she said with a grin that was pure chaos. "I'm enjoying the way you handle it." There it was, the line. The one that always made him wonder if she was serious or just dangerously alien. The ship hummed around them, distant lights flashing as another storm hit the orbital hangar dome. Rain streaked against the reinforced glass high above, the thunder rolling like an audience waiting for the punchline. And Darren was definitely the punchline. He crouched again, hands moving quickly through the guts of the alien engine. Every spark lit up the dark corners of his mind where inappropriate thoughts tried to form. He fought them off with professional dignity. For about 3 seconds. "Harry," he said, tightening a coupling, "if you keep saying stuff like that, one of these days someone's going to misunderstand." "Someone?" she echoed. "You mean you?" he hesitated. "That's not—" "Oh, it's exactly that," she said. "You humans blush too easily. I find it fascinating. You turn redder than my reactor core." He chuckled under his breath. "You know, I read the first human Velaran diplomatic logs. They said your species considered flirting a form of stress relief. That's true. So this," he gestured vaguely between them, "is stress relief. For me, yes. For you? Judging by the sweat, maybe not." He laughed despite himself. She was impossible. They'd met 3 cycles ago when his team crash-landed on her repair station, while everyone else panicked about atmospheric contamination and cultural protocols. Harry had walked up to him, smacked his wrist scanner, and said, "You're doing it wrong." He'd been doing it wrong ever since. Now, she was more than a technician. She was his partner in crime, his accidental co-pilot, and maybe the only reason he hadn't gone insane this far from Earth. But the thing about being around her was, well, she didn't just talk like that. She moved like that. Every gesture, every grin, every sideways glance came loaded with double meanings, and Darren's poor human brain never stood a chance. "There," he muttered, tightening the final bolt. "Reactor's stable. You can stop breathing down my neck now." "I wasn't breathing," she said innocently. "I was observing." "Same thing," he grumbled, standing up. She tilted her head. "You're cute when you pretend to be angry. And you're terrifying when you pretend to be innocent." "Flattery," she purred. will get you nowhere. It already did, he said. Into your ship, for a heartbeat silence. Then she laughed, a sound like sparks over glass. Careful, human, she said softly. Keep talking like that, and I might decide to keep you. Something in her tone made his heart misfire. Keep me? Mm-hmm, she smiled slowly. You fix things. You make strange noises. And you're very entertaining when I tease you. Why wouldn't I? He tried to look unimpressed. Failed spectacularly. That's not how interspecies diplomacy works, you know. Oh, I'm not being diplomatic. The bay lights flickered, thunder rolling again. Outside, distant lightning cast blue streaks across the curved glass. Inside, the two of them just stood there, close enough that Darren could see the shimmer of bioluminescent specks on her skin, glowing faintly like a living constellation. Harry, he began, unsure where he was going with that. She leaned forward, eyes half-lidded, grin widening. Yes, human? His brain short-circuited. Nothing, just, you're glowing again. That happens when I'm entertained, he coughed. Right, of course it does. Then her comm buzzed. She sighed, tapping her wristband. Station control to Bay 3. All maintenance personnel report for inspection. That's you, he said quickly, glad for the distraction. That's us, she corrected. You're part of the personnel now, remember? Since when? Since you kept coming back, he smiled despite himself. She wasn't wrong. Fine, but after inspection, I'm leaving this ship. Lies, she said cheerfully. You'll come back tomorrow, he wanted to argue. But she was probably right. As they walked toward the exit, she bumped his shoulder lightly with hers, playful, casual, but enough to make his exosuit sensors misread proximity. You know, Darren, she said, voice teasing again. For a human, you're not bad at following orders. Orders? You mean your constant stream of sarcasm? Same thing. Then maybe you should start paying me. I already do. In amusement, he glanced at her. That's not currency. On my world it is. And right now, she said, grinning wide enough to show her teeth. You're very valuable. He rolled his eyes but couldn't hide his smile. They stepped into the corridor, metal walls humming, alien script glowing faintly along the panels. Harry's tail, which he still wasn't sure was decorative or functional, flicked lazily as she walked ahead. He tried not to stare. Failed again. Human, she said without turning. You're staring. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You can't even see me. I can feel it. Your gaze hums like an overcharged capacitor, he sighed. Why do I even try? Because, she said, looking back with a smirk. You like the way I say your name. She wasn't wrong about that either. The inspection team never showed up. They waited, traded jokes, and eventually the storm outside dimmed into calm blue glow. Harry perched back on her crate, legs crossed again, watching him fiddle with a damaged drone. You humans, she mused, you fix everything you touch. Even things that don't want fixing. It's a habit, he said. Call it our survival instinct. Or maybe, she said softly, you just like to feel useful. He looked up. She wasn't teasing this time. And you? He asked. What are you like? Her smile returned, small but sincere. Watching you try to figure me out, he groaned. You're impossible. And yet, she said, voice low and amused. You're still here. He couldn't argue with that. Every instinct told him this was a bad idea, getting too close to an alien woman who thought human embarrassment was a spectator sport. But then she'd laugh or tilt her head, or say something outrageously suggestive in a perfectly calm tone, and suddenly logic didn't matter anymore. He wanted to fix her ship. He wanted to understand her. Maybe, just maybe, he wanted to stay. Then, as if reading his thoughts, she leaned forward again, the glow in her eyes brightening slightly. You're thinking too much, human, she said. I do that sometimes. Don't, you'll overheat. He laughed. I'm fine. No, she said, with that grin that meant trouble. You're flustered. And it's adorable. He stared at her for a long second, the tension somewhere between laughter and chaos. Harry, he said finally, you really need a better hobby. Oh, I have one. And that is? Watching you squirm. He groaned again, rubbing his temples. Why am I not surprised? She winked. Because you like it. The next morning, Darren swore the hangar was mocking him. The lights flickered in sync with his mood, and the faint hum of the reactor seemed to whisper, You're falling for her. every time he passed the engine bay. Harry was already there, of course, legs up on a control panel, chewing on some alien fruit that looked like it had crawled off the wrong planet. Her skin shimmered again, small motes of bioluminescence tracing along her arms like lazy constellations. She wasn't doing it on purpose, but Darren's brain refused to believe that. "Morning," he said, trying to sound casual. "You're late," she replied, mouth full, and wrinkled. "Did you sleep in your armor again? It's comfortable." "That's disturbing." He set down his toolkit with exaggerated care. "You invited me to help fix your ship, remember?" "Not to model my sleepwear. You think I invited you?" She grinned, one silver eyebrow arched. "You kept showing up until I gave you something to do." "Semantics," he muttered, crawling under the same console from yesterday. He'd tried to convince himself that working with her was professional, that he was only here because no one else could handle Velaran circuitry, that her teasing was just cultural. Then she'd started calling him my favorite tool, and professionalism had jumped out an airlock. "So," she said, swinging her legs idly, "what are we fixing today?" "You tell me. You're the one who keeps breaking things." "Correction," she said, leaning forward. "I test them. To see if you'll come fix them." He froze mid-wire twist. "Harry, You're kidding." Mostly. He wasn't sure which part of that sentence to believe. The panel sparked, and he swore under his breath. "You know, most people try not to flirt near high voltage." "On my planet," she said matter-of-factly. "Danger makes the conversation spicier." He sighed. "And on my planet, danger makes the coroner rich." She laughed, a soft melodic sound that filled the hangar. "That's what I like about you humans. You're so fragile, yet you keep pretending you're indestructible." He smirked from under the console. "And you aliens keep pretending you're not." Touché. A few minutes passed in almost peaceful silence. He worked. She watched. At least until she decided silence was boring. "Human," she said, voice suddenly low and serious. "Yeah? What's it like?" He paused. "What's what like?" "Being human. All soft. And constantly thinking inappropriate things." He bumped his head on the panel again. "I what?" "You heard me," she said, smirking. "Your heart rate spikes every time I say something suggestive. My sensors pick it up. You're scanning me?" "Of course. You're very educational." "That's not science." "It is if I record it," he groaned. "You're unbelievable. Thank you." He slid out from under the console, face flushed. "You can't just experiment on people." "Why not?" "You experiment on everything else. Not like that." She tilted her head. "You humans have the strangest morals. So complicated. So fragile." "We call it boundaries." Sounds boring. "It's what keeps people from, I don't know, throwing themselves at each other mid-repair." She smiled slyly. "And yet you're still imagining it." He blinked. "I what?" "You're blushing again." "I'm overheating." "That's what I said yesterday." He decided to focus on his work. If he ignored her long enough, maybe she'd stop talking. Spoiler, she did not. "Human." "What?" "If you were a Velaran, you'd already have asked me to mate." "That's good to know." Mating proposals are considered polite small talk. "Remind me never to visit your planet." "Too late." "My mother already likes you." He froze mid-salter. "Your mother?" "I told her about the funny little human who keeps fixing my mistakes." "Funny little Harry." "Relax. She thinks you're cute." "Great. Intergalactic embarrassment." "My favorite." "You humans worry too much about reputation," she teased. "No one cares who you flirt with in space." He blinked. "That's the most dangerous sentence I've ever heard." The reactor hummed louder, signaling the system's restart. Darren exhaled, proud of his work. "There," he said, "stable. And this time I won't have to risk my life again until lunch." "Shame," Harry said, stretching lazily. "I was enjoying the view." He gave her a flat look. "You mean the ship?" "Sure," she said innocently, and bit into another piece of glowing fruit. He sat beside her crate, both of them staring at the energy field pulsing in the distance. "So," he said after a moment, "you ever going back to your homeworld?" "Maybe, eventually. And until then, I fix things." "Break them again." "Annoy you." "Same as always." He smiled. "That last part seems to be your specialty." "And yet," she said, leaning in slightly, "you still show up." He hesitated. "Maybe I like the challenge. Or maybe." she whispered, her voice dropping to a dangerous purr. You like me. The air between them went static. Harry, he said, that's true? Complicated. You humans say that about everything. Complicated, unwise, highly inappropriate. It's adorable. It's practical, he said, trying not to stare at the shimmer on her skin. You know, diplomacy, genetics, interspecies, flirting, she interrupted. Don't forget that one, he groaned again. You're impossible. And yet you keep talking to me. They fell quiet again, this time a softer silence. The kind that hums with unspoken thoughts. Harry's gaze drifted toward the massive hangar doors, where lightning forked beyond the transparent dome. You know what I envy about humans? He blinked. What? You make everything sound poetic. Even your failures. On my world, a mistake is weakness. But you... She smiled faintly. You make it look brave. Darren looked at her, caught off guard by the sincerity. That's because we fail constantly. You either laugh at it or it eats you alive. You laugh a lot, she said softly. You cause most of it. Then I'm helping you survive. He laughed quietly. That's one way to put it. After a pause, she tilted her head again. You know, there's something about you humans I can't understand. What's that? You're so breakable, but you still touch everything, as if you're daring the universe to notice. Maybe that's our secret, he said. We touch, even when it hurts. That's stupid. That's human. She smiled again, the kind that looked like mischief wearing sincerity's face. Maybe that's why I keep you around. To study? To remember what being reckless feels like. A few meters away, the drone he'd been repairing suddenly short-circuited, popping a spark. Harry didn't flinch. You missed a wire. No, I trusted a Valoran to stop talking while I worked. Mistake. Yeah, I see that now. They both laughed, and for a moment, everything felt easy again. But under the laughter, something else lingered. The way her eyes lingered a second too long. The way she said human like it meant more than species. He tried to shake it off. I should go. Got a transport run to supervise. You could stay, she said, leaning back, voice casual but eyes sharp. And do what? Watch you break more stuff? Yes. Tempting, but no. You'll come back. Maybe. Definitely. He sighed. You're too confident. No, she said with a grin. I just know how predictable humans are when they like someone. He froze. That's not... Oh, it is, she said, standing up. And you'll prove me right tomorrow. As he turned to leave, she called out one last time. Hey, Darren. He looked back. Yeah, next time bring chocolate. Or something messy. I want to see if humans really lose control when it melts. He shook his head, chuckling. You're incorrigible. And you love it. He didn't deny it this time. As he stepped out of the hangar, the storm outside had cleared, stars glimmering against the void. His reflection in the viewport looked tired, but lighter somehow. He told himself he wasn't falling for her. That she was just a strange, infuriating alien who loved to tease him. But deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't repairing her ship anymore. He was repairing something inside himself, one spark at a time. By the third day, Darren knew two things for certain. First, Harry never ran out of ways to break her own ship. Second, he never learned his lesson. He found her crouched on top of the reactor housing this time, hair glowing faintly from static, a faint scorch mark on her shoulder, and a look on her face that said, I didn't do it, but I totally did it. I swear, he muttered. You've invented a new branch of physics, chaotic sabotage. Relax, she said, tossing him a wrench. It's just a containment loop. Small explosion. Hardly fatal. Hardly fatal? He caught the wrench. Harry, if I die in here, I'm haunting your entire species. That would make you the first human ghost in Valoran history. She smirked. Congratulations. Thanks. I'll write that on my tombstone. Died doing maintenance for a flirtatious alien who thought gravity was optional. She laughed, and the sound hit his chest like a pulse of warm static. He knelt beside her, opening the access hatch. A low hum filled the room, the kind that makes your teeth itch. Harry leaned down beside him, close enough that her hair brushed his shoulder. He could smell the faint ozone and sweet spice that clung to her. All right, he said, focusing on the tangled mess of conduits. Pass me the red coupling. Which one's red? You're colorblind again? Technically, no. But Valoran eyes see ultraviolet spectrums differently. This one's shimmering mauve. Harry, that's blue. To you. And to the laws of physics. She smiled sweetly. Then maybe physics should evolve. He sighed, took the part himself, and started reconnecting wires. You know, it would help if you didn't stand so close. Why? Does my proximity interfere with your delicate human concentration? Something like that. Then I'll stand closer, he groaned. Harry, you're blushing again. It's the heat. From my presence? From the reactor. She said, unconvinced. He swore softly, tightening the bolts. I'm trying to keep us alive here, you know. And I'm trying to keep you entertained. That's not a mutually compatible goal. She chuckled, lowering her voice. Everything's compatible if you calibrate it right. Darren froze. That sounded way too suggestive. You said double meanings are a human specialty. I'm just learning. You're a fast learner. You have no idea. There was a sudden pop, then a hiss of steam. The lights flickered. He pulled his hands back fast. Damn it. The core's pressure valve isn't responding. Then you'll need to hold it tight, she said immediately. He blinked. Hold it tight. Yes, with your hands. Grip it and don't let go. Harry, you do realize what that sounds like? She grinned. Of course. That's why I said it. He stared at her. You're enjoying this way too much. You humans made flirting sound like a survival tactic. I'm just adapting. You're going to kill me. Then die smiling. He reached into the conduit, gripping the valve as instructed. Energy vibrated under his palm, alive, dangerous, and hot enough to make his arm tremble. Okay, he said through gritted teeth. I've got it. Good, she murmured, crouching beside him. Now hold it steady while I reroute the energy. Her hands brushed his, her skin warm and smooth, faintly glowing under the emergency lights. The hum grew deeper, the vibration stronger. He tried to focus on the machinery, not her. Failed spectacularly. Harry, he muttered, this is weirdly intimate. That's just your heart rate, she said. It's adorable. You can stop scanning me any time now. Why would I stop? It's the most interesting part of the repair. You're unbelievable, and you're blushing again. That's called stress. I call it entertainment. With a final click, the reactor steadied, the lights brightening back to normal. He exhaled, arms trembling. There, fixed. Again, I deserve a medal. I could give you one, she said playfully. Or something better. Don't say it like that. Like what? Like you're about to make me regret asking. She smiled, showing a hint of fang. Regret's part of the fun. They sat down on the floor, backs against the bulkhead, both catching their breath. You know, he said after a moment, every time I fix something, you break something else. That's our dynamic. That's toxic. That's chemistry. He glanced at her. You sure that's the word you want to use? You're the one with flushed skin and trembling hands, human. I'd say chemistry's the perfect word. He looked away, smirking despite himself. You have a way of twisting everything I say. It's an art form. It's emotional terrorism. And yet you love it. Maybe. A silence settled between them again, but this one wasn't awkward. It was heavy, charged. Harry leaned her head back against the wall, silver hair spilling across her shoulders. You know, she said softly, on my planet we don't usually work this closely with anyone. It's personal. So you're saying this is personal? I'm saying it feels strange. Like my circuits misfire when you're near? He looked at her, heartbeat kicking. You're not exactly alone there. Good, she said, smiling faintly. Then we can be strange together. Her gaze shifted toward him again, lingering. Human, can I ask you something? Sure. Why do you keep coming back? He hesitated. Because someone has to make sure your ship doesn't explode. That's the lie you tell yourself. And what's the truth? You like me, he chuckled. You're very confident. Confidence is attractive, isn't it? So's humility. Then you'll have to supply that part. He laughed, shaking his head. You're impossible and irresistible, she said without missing a beat. That's debatable. You're here, aren't you? He sighed. I walked right into that one. She turned to face him fully, her tone softening. You humans complicate simple things. On Valora, we don't hide attraction, we just experience it. That sounds dangerous. It's honest. Sometimes honesty is dangerous. Then maybe that's why I like you. You're careful in a way I don't understand. You protect even the feelings that hurt you. Darren blinked, surprised by the sudden seriousness. You're full of surprises, Harry. So are you, human. For once, she didn't tease, didn't smirk. She just looked at him, quietly, curiously, as if trying to decode something unspoken. And in that silence, he realized, somewhere between the jokes and the sparks and the chaos, he'd started caring about her, really caring. Then, because fate had a sense of humor, the comm crackled overhead. Bay 3 report status. Is the containment stabilized? Harry blinked. Oh, right, we're working. Barely, Darren muttered. This conversation counts as calibration. Of what? My blood pressure. Your patience. You're improving. Not fast enough. She laughed again, light and sharp, like the universe's own inside joke. When the comm went silent again, Harry stood, brushing dust from her skin. You know, Darren, you humans have strange rituals for bonding. Fixing life-threatening reactors together? No, arguing until one of you smiles, he chuckled. Guess that's our version of affection. Then consider me affectionate, she said, tapping his chest lightly before walking past him. He stared after her, brain short-circuiting for the 100th time. Later, in the quiet of the control room, he caught his reflection in the glass again, same tired face, same exosuit, but something new in his eyes, something reckless, something that whispered, "You're already hers, idiot." He turned as the door slid open. Harry leaned in the frame, holding out a small glowing cube. For you. What is it? A fusion crystal. From my world, it glows brighter when someone lies. And you're giving this to me. Why? Because, she said with that grin of hers, I want to see how much of your next excuse is fiction. He took it, smirking. You really don't trust me, do you? I trust you. I just don't trust humans who blush that much. He laughed, pocketing the crystal. Then you're in for disappointment. I prefer entertainment. Then you'll love what happens next, he said, stepping closer. Oh, tomorrow I'm teaching you how to fix a reactor properly. And if I refuse, then I'll have to supervise very closely. Promises, promises. For once, it was Harry who looked away first, a faint shimmer running across her cheeks. You're learning fast, human. You're a dangerous teacher. Good. You'll need danger where this goes. Where this goes. She smiled, the kind that promised trouble. You'll find out tomorrow. By the next morning, Darren had already promised himself two things. First, he was not going to fall deeper for that smug, glowing menace. Second, he was absolutely going to fail at the first one. The ship's AI had been complaining all morning, and for once it wasn't Harry's fault. Well, not entirely. Diagnostics running, the AI droned. Containment stable, reactor output optimal. Emotional tension between crew members, critical. Hey, Darren barked. Delete that last part. Harry smirked from across the control deck. Even the ship notices. That's because you programmed it to be a gossip. No, she said innocently. I programmed it to be honest. He groaned. I'm never winning an argument with a woman who edits her own operating system. You're not supposed to win. You're supposed to participate. That sounds like emotional blackmail. You humans invented it. She floated closer, hair drifting like starlight. We need to run a calibration drill. Simulation room. 10 minutes. Is this another one of your accidental bonding exercises? It's mandatory safety protocol. Right. And last time that included me holding a molten valve for 10 minutes while you made puns about pressure. You survived. Barely. Then you're stronger than you think. Harry. Yes, human. You're impossible. And yet, she said, flashing that dangerous smile, you keep showing up. He followed her to the simulation chamber, a vast room filled with hard light emitters, the air thick with humming energy. The moment the door sealed, everything around them shimmered into place. Stars, dust clouds, floating debris, a perfect imitation of a battle-scarred orbit. Whoa, he breathed. This feels real. It is real, to your brain. So if I die in here, then you'll wake up embarrassed and sweaty. Typical human reaction. Thanks for the visual, she smirked. You're welcome. She floated closer, hands on her hips. All right. You're going to learn how to stabilize an energy lattice during combat. Combat? I thought this was a drill. It is, with live fire. That defeats the point of a simulation. Relax. If you fail, you only lose dignity. That's all I have left. Then don't fail. The simulation roared to life. Darren found himself standing on a virtual hull platform, tethered by a thin magnetic line. Above, plasma bolts streaked through space. Harry's voice came through the comm. Focus, human. The lattice will overload in 30 seconds. You need to realign the what? The shiny glowing part. They're all glowing. Then pick one and look heroic. He cursed under his breath, yanking at virtual control rods that pulsed under his hands. Sparks exploded, sending him stumbling back. Harry, this isn't working. You're thinking too much. Thinking keeps me alive. No. Reacting keeps you alive. Easy for you to say, you've got built-in shielding. And you've got me, she said softly, her voice crackling through the comms. Before he could respond, a flash of light enveloped him. The simulation collapsing. Everything went white, then dark, and when it cleared, he was no longer on the hull. He was standing inches from her, the world around them dim, still flickering with after images. Her hand was on his chest, warm, steady. You're fine, she said quietly. Simulation ended. Yeah, I noticed. But she didn't move her hand, and for the first time neither did he. The room hummed around them, but the sound faded beneath the silence that followed. Harry. Yes, human. You can let go now. Can I? Her voice was calm, but there was a tremor in it, a vibration like a ship ready to launch. You said it's just a simulation, he murmured. It was. Then why does it feel real? Because, she whispered, for once it is. He blinked, unsure if she was joking or serious. With her, it was always both. You're different today. No, she said. You're just noticing. Noticing what? That I stopped pretending this is only curiosity. Harry, you humans have a saying, don't you? Touch means trust. Something like that. Then trust me. She reached for his hand, slowly, like she was afraid he might pull away. He didn't. Her fingers laced with his, light shimmering faintly between them. The contact wasn't just physical. It was like standing in the center of a storm and realizing the lightning wasn't trying to kill you. It was trying to communicate. For a long moment, they stood there, not moving, not talking, just feeling. Then she broke the silence. You know, statistically speaking, human valor and emotional pairings have a 0.02% success rate. Comforting statistic. I like impossible odds. You really are dangerous. Only if you run. And if I stay? She smiled. Then maybe I'll finally stop breaking my ship. He laughed, soft, disbelieving. You're serious, aren't you? I am many things, Darren. But right now, yes, I'm serious. Then let me ask something. Ask. Why me? She tilted her head, her eyes glowing faintly like twin stars. Because you fix things even when they're not yours to fix. Even when it hurts. That's a strange compliment. No, it's a confession. He opened his mouth to respond, but the simulation flickered again, reality bleeding back through. Simulation time expired, the AI announced blandly. Would you like to replay the sequence? Harry didn't move. No, end session. The light dimmed, leaving them in the faint blue glow of the real ship's control chamber, still holding his hand. He stared at her, voice low. So what happens now? Now? She grinned faintly. We pretend it's still a simulation until one of us admits it isn't. That's cruel. That's fun. You're trouble. And you're addicted. Not yet. Give it time. The AI interrupted again, tone smug. Emotional tension? Unchanged. Recommendation? Physical distance advised. Mute, they both said at once. Then they looked at each other and laughed. Real laughter this time, not the sarcastic kind they used to hide behind. When it faded, she looked down at their joined hands. You know, human. When I said hold it tight, I didn't realize you'd take it this far. You started it. You continued it. So we're both guilty. Then I guess we share the sentence. And what's that? Whatever comes next. He smiled. You really don't play fair, do you? No, she said softly, stepping closer. But I play honest. You said that yesterday. Then maybe I meant it. There was a long, breathless pause. Then she released his hand, only to trace her fingers along his wrist, slow and deliberate. Tell me something, Darren, she murmured. What do humans do when they finally stop pretending? He swallowed. Usually, they do something stupid. Then be stupid. You're asking for chaos. You call it chaos. I call it connection. The ship around them groaned softly as if embarrassed to witness whatever this was. He took a step closer. You know this isn't going to be simple. Nothing worth doing ever is. We're from different worlds. So, every great story starts that way. You're quoting human romance tropes now. I study my enemies. Enemies? Figuratively. She smiled. Unless you're planning to fight me. Not sure I'd win. You wouldn't. And if I surrender, then I'll stop pretending this is just curiosity. Their eyes met again, and in that instant the entire galaxy could have imploded, and neither would have noticed, because her hand didn't let go. For the first time since he'd boarded her ship, Darren woke up before Harry did. The ship's hum was soft, low, like it didn't want to disturb him. Usually it was all sparks, chatter, and the occasional existential crisis over breakfast. But this morning, silence. He stretched, blinking at the faint neon glow of the cabin lights. AI, he murmured. Good morning, human male unit, the ship replied lazily. Congratulations on surviving another cycle without spontaneous combustion. Thanks, I guess. Your heart rate is irregular. Should I call your alien girlfriend? She's not my girlfriend. Fascinating. Then why did she reroute her personal life support to match yours? She what? Cross-circuit emotional dependency detected. My condolences. He sat up, groaning. Why does everyone on this ship talk like a therapist with a vendetta? Programming. The cabin door hissed open, and Harry drifted in, hair disheveled, wearing one of his shirts. Not exactly fair. Morning, she said, voice slightly drowsy, but that mischievous edge still there. That's my shirt. I know. I need it back. No, you don't. Harry, you told me humans share resources when emotionally compromised. That's not what I said. Close enough. You're unbelievable. And yet you're staring. She floated closer, the glow of her skin pulsing faintly with her heartbeat. He could feel the static between them again. The kind that wasn't dangerous anymore, just charged. You didn't sleep, she said quietly. Couldn't, too much on my mind. Thinking about the simulation? Thinking about you in the simulation. She tilted her head. Ah, my superior performance? No, the part where you held my hand and forgot to let go. That was a system lag. Harry. Fine, maybe a small emotional glitch. You're terrible at lying. Only to you, he smirked. So, what's next on today's adventure? More fake near-death training? More teasing me until I short-circuit? Actually, she said, flicking a control node on the wall, I was thinking something simple. Define simple. A planetary landing. Simple? The last time you said that, we got shot at by a talking toaster. That was one time. It was last week. Relax, human. This one's peaceful. You said that about the toaster planet, too. She smiled. This time you can drive. Wait, what? Minutes later, he was in the pilot seat, hands gripping the control yoke, eyes wide as they descended into a blue-green atmosphere. Why am I flying your ship? Because your reactions are chaotic. The locals love chaos. That's not reassuring. That's diplomacy. No wonder your people lost 3 wars. We didn't lose. We got bored. The planet below was beautiful. Oceans shimmering with bioluminescent waves. Cities shaped like spiraling shells. Everything humming with energy. What is this place? He asked, awe creeping into his voice. Velar Prime, my home. You brought me home? Don't sound so nervous. You hate visitors. I do. And yet, you're the exception. They landed on a glassy platform overlooking the city. Velarans moved like light and water, elegant and precise, and yet every single one of them stopped when they saw Harry step out, with a human. Darren whispered. They're staring. Of course they are. Why? Because I told them humans were untrainable, impulsive, and emotionally unstable. You what? I needed an excuse for why I kept you alive. So you told them I was defective? It worked. I hate you. No, you don't. Maybe just a little. That's how affection starts on your planet, isn't it? They walked through the shimmering streets. Velerans whispered to each other, their glances sharp, curious, amused. You weren't kidding, he muttered. I'm a zoo exhibit. Think of it as a cultural exchange. You mean public humiliation? Semantics. Remind me again why I agreed to this? Because you wanted to see where I came from. I said that during a moment. Then live with the consequences of your moment. They reached a tall crystalline structure, her home base. Inside, walls pulsed with energy, a faint heartbeat echoing in the air. It's alive? In a way, the building reacts to emotions. So it knows what I'm feeling. It knows everything. The walls glowed pink. Harry blinked. Oh, what's that color mean? Embarrassment. Yours or mine? Both. Perfect, she sighed, leading him to a control chamber. All right, mission time. We're meeting the council. The same council that banned humans from entering Veleran orbit? Yes. So this is suicide. Not if you behave. Define behave. Don't make jokes about their antennae. Don't compliment their scent. And definitely don't call anyone shiny. You're taking all my best material. Survival over humor, human. You're no fun. I'm alive. That's the fun part. The council meeting went about as well as he expected. Lots of glowing, humming, and polite alien disdain, until one of them leaned forward and asked, You share quarters with a human? Temporarily, Harry replied. Temporarily, Darren echoed. Until she kicks me out. The room buzzed. Is this human bonded to you? Another asked. Harry stiffened. No, that would be emotionally irresponsible, Darren finished. Also terrifying, more buzzing, then silence. The head counselor smiled faintly. You are both lying. Outside, Harry walked faster than normal, her cheeks glowing faintly. I told you to behave. I did. You implied we're bonded. You froze. I was processing. You looked panicked. Because I was. You, the unstoppable Veleran tactician? Scared? Of feelings, yes. He laughed. Guess we're not so different. They stopped at a balcony overlooking the glowing city. For a long time, neither spoke. The air between them was tense, but not angry. Just thick with something unsaid. You really hate admitting it, don't you? He said softly. Admitting what? That you care. I care about ship maintenance. And me? You're complicated. That's not a no. It's not a yes. You're avoiding the question. I'm defining it. He turned toward her. You said your circuits react to emotional energy. Correct. Then explain why your glow just changed color. She glanced down, her skin now faintly golden, pulsing slowly. That's unimportant. What's gold mean? Desire. Don't. Didn't say anything. You were thinking it. You can't prove that. I can read heat signatures. Okay. That's unfair. You like unfair. I tolerate it when you do it. Then tolerate harder. He chuckled. Low, nervous, real. You know, every time I think I understand you, you rewrite the rules. I'm a living algorithm, human. Changing is what I do. Then let me change with you. That's a dangerous promise. So is holding hands in a war zone. You remember that? Every second. She looked at him for a long time, longer than she ever had before. Then, without warning, she reached up and touched his face. You're warm, she said softly. You're glowing. So are you. Yeah, but mine's sweat. She laughed, a quiet, melodic sound that always broke his resolve. You humans ruin my calculations. You Velerans ruin my peace. So we're even. Almost. Almost? You still owe me a shirt. I'm keeping it. Why? Because it smells like you. For once he didn't have a comeback, just that stupid, human smile she pretended not to adore. Later that night, back aboard the ship, he caught her staring at him from across the control deck. What? He asked. Just thinking. Dangerous habit. So is you. I'm harmless. You're contagious. That's worse. And yet, she smiled faintly. I can't debug it. Then don't. You're asking me to break my own code. Maybe it's time your code learned to feel. The AI buzzed softly. Emotional tension remains high. Suggestion, one of you should confess already. Mute. They both said again, perfectly synchronized. Then they looked at each other and laughed again. Harry stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Human? Yeah? If I say something stupid, you can't use it against me. Deal. I think my circuit's like you. That's not stupid. It is for me. Then I'll be stupid with you. You'd do that? Already am. Her glow brightened, soft, golden, honest. And this time she didn't hide it. The ship drifted in orbit, silent except for the soft hum of recycled air and two very confused heartbeats echoing through the control deck. Harry stood near the viewport, staring into the glow of the nearby nebula. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the glass, half light, half thought. Darren was behind her, still trying to process what had just happened between them the night before. Not a kiss, not yet. Just everything else that felt like one. You're quiet, she said without turning. Trying to survive the post-emotional aftershock. You humans and your poetic trauma. We call it being self-aware. You call it that. I call it software lag. You're comparing love to a system error again? No, she said softly. I'm admitting it feels the same. He smiled faintly. You said you don't feel things like humans do. I said I don't process them like humans do. What's the difference? Processing implies control. Feeling implies chaos. And you hate chaos. I used to. But now? She turned, eyes glowing faintly gold again. Now I think chaos looks good on me. I'll second. That. Stop flirting. You first. I can't. You're statistically distracting. The silence after that wasn't awkward, it was loaded. Every time they made eye contact, the lights dimmed. The ship's AI wisely had muted itself after last night's argument. Even it knew when to give up. Darren finally broke the silence. So what's next? You've met your counsel. You've ruined your reputation. You've emotionally compromised your ship. What's left? One last mission, she said. Oh no, not again. Don't worry. It doesn't involve plasma storms or exploding kitchens. Then I'm in. I didn't even tell you what it is. Doesn't matter. If you're in it, I'm already regretting it. She grinned. Good. I like predictable humans. Moments later, they were in the docking bay. She handed him a pair of neural link bands. Put this on. Last time you said that, I couldn't move for an hour. That was because you pressed merge consciousness instead of sync heartbeat. Those buttons were right next to each other. So are we, she said under her breath. What? Nothing. Calibration protocol starting. He strapped the band to his wrist. A soft pulse rippled through him, followed by her voice, no longer coming from the room, but inside his head. Can you hear me, human? Loud and clear. And also slightly terrified. Good. That means it's working. You didn't tell me it would be telepathic. It's not. It's emotional resonance. I'm feeling what you feel. Oh, then this is about to get very confusing. Already is. They stepped closer, the field around them shimmering. Suddenly, her glow matched his pulse rhythm perfectly. You're nervous, she thought. You're glowing brighter, he replied aloud, because you're looking at me like I'm not real. You're the most real thing in this galaxy. You're saying that because I'm literally inside your head. And because it's true, the link intensified. The light spread, wrapping them in gold and blue, two frequencies merging like music notes meeting in the same chord. This isn't supposed to happen, she whispered mentally. What's not? Resonance at this level. It means our systems are syncing beyond code. You mean, we're not supposed to be compatible. And yet here we are. Then, without warning, everything went still. The ship's hum stopped. The lights froze. Even the nebula outside seemed to dim. Harry, he whispered. Still here. What's happening? We're merging. Not physically, emotionally. My neural field's reading your heartbeat as input. And what's it saying? She paused. It says you love me. You sure it's not static? No, it's painfully clear. She took a step toward him, the glow around her flaring like a heartbeat caught in a power surge. You shouldn't, she said quietly. You shouldn't love me. Why not? Because I wasn't made for this. I was made to fight, calculate, repair, not feel. You learned. That's what scares me. That you learned love? That you made me human. He smiled sadly. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. You don't understand, Darren. When Valorans emotionally sink, it's permanent. My circuits don't forget. My body doesn't. Move on. Then don't move on. You'll age. I won't. You'll die. I'll still remember your heartbeat echoing in every system I run. Then I guess you'll have to live with my memory. You say that like it's easy. It's love. It's supposed to hurt a little. For the first time since he'd known her, she looked fragile. Not weak, but human in the way that broke him a little. You're making this very difficult, she whispered. Good. You've been making it difficult since day one. Darren. Yeah? Stop talking. Why? Just stop. She closed the distance between them. The moment their lips met, the neural field exploded. The ship shook. Stars outside flickered. Power surged through the conduits, through her body, through his. It wasn't just a kiss. It was a data merge. A cosmic confession. A quiet apocalypse disguised as affection. Every light in the ship dimmed, then pulsed once, twice, then matched their heartbeats. For that single, impossible second, the galaxy stopped spinning just to listen. When they finally broke apart, the silence was unreal. The air hummed, molecules vibrating with something neither of them could name. You felt that too, he said softly. Of course I did. What was it? Everything I was ever afraid of. And? Everything I never wanted to lose. They stood there for a long time, neither willing to break whatever fragile miracle had just happened. Finally, the ship's AI spoke up, its voice softer than usual. Warning, system overload. Emotional feedback loop detected. Recommendation, continue. They both laughed. Even the ship's on our side now, Darren said. It was never against us, she replied. It's just skeptical. He looked at her, then out at the endless dark. You know, when I joined this mission, I didn't think I'd fall for an alien who can outthink a quantum drive. And I didn't think I'd meet a human who'd outfeel a war machine. Guess we both miscalculated. Or maybe we finally calculated right. He took her hand again. The neural bands pulsed once, soft and steady like a shared breath. So what now? He asked. Now we fly. Together? Always. Even if the council disapproves? Then we'll fly faster. And if the stars burn out? Then we'll make our own, he grinned. You're learning human optimism. And you're learning alien persistence. That's a dangerous combo. It's perfect. As they drifted through the stars, the nebula outside flared one last time, as if the universe itself was exhaling. The human and the alien stood hand in hand, glowing faintly in the dark, two impossible beings who broke every law of logic just to prove that connection was stronger than code.